What is happening, Magnusites? Now, after I saw this, I was like, after I saw the movie, I was like, I have a hunch that the drinker will like this. So the title here is M3GAN, Fun and Freaky Horror Satire. So I think he liked it. Let's check this out. Matter of fact, just in case I need to stop it. You never know. Sometimes I want to stop and talk. All right, let's get it.
You know, every once in a while, a movie comes along that really catches you by surprise, delivering a viewing experience that's way smarter, slicker, and better realised than it has any right to be. And I think that M3GAN, or I'm supposed to call it M3GAN, is a perfect example of this. I mean, let's be real here, January isn't exactly known as a fertile environment for quality movie making. It's the kind of month where movie studios half-heartedly fart out the least promising projects on their annual slate, usually with almost no marketing budget, and just hoping against hope that one of them might catch on. And at first glance, M3GAN seems like exactly the kind of candidate for the January dumping ground. A low-budget sci-fi horror movie that reads like a cross between Chucky and I, Robot, starring a cast of mostly unknowns, and released about 3 months late for the Halloween horror season. And yet, just like its main character, it turned out to be a smart, well-constructed little horror with flashes of satirical humour that were enough to make even a cynical asshole like me smile. And at the end of its lean and mean runtime, I came out of the movie theatre thinking, yeah, that was alright actually. The movie centres around a young girl named Katie who loses her parents in a freak car accident. With no other family left to take her in, she's sent to live with her Aunt Gemma, a workaholic robotics engineer who specialises in developing artificially intelligent toys for kids.
True.
The new living situation doesn't go very well at first. Gemma doesn't know how to look after kids or really interact with other humans, to be honest. I love how her only real reaction to the news of her sister's death is a 5-second scene where she looks at a picture of her with a vaguely sad expression on her face. Anyway, things take a turn for the better when Gemma finally completes her latest project, M3GAN, an artificially intelligent life-size doll designed to be the perfect friend to whoever she's paired with. Straight away she helps bring Katie out of her grief and loneliness, and when Gemma's superiors see M3GAN in action, they quickly realise they know her sales potential and decide to make it their flagship product. Great stuff indeed, but all is not well in the world of M3GAN. The more time she spends with Katie, the more M3GAN begins acting outside of her programming, saying things that she's not supposed to, turning herself on and off at will, and even taking action into her own hands when she thinks something might be threatening her mission. It's the well-worn trope of the artificially intelligent machine growing beyond the control of its creators, slowly turning from a benign companion into a brutal killer. The difference in this case is that it's all housed inside the physical body of a 10-year-old girl. Making an effective satire of the horror genre involves walking a real tightrope because it's very easy to lean a little too far in either direction and lose your audience. Make the satirical elements too subtle and they might just pass people by, leaving them with nothing but the vague sense that they watched something a bit off. On the other hand, if you make the humour too obvious or the situations too ridiculous, then it crosses the line from satire into straight up goofy comedy, robbing the horror elements of their impact. But to its credit, I think M3GAN pitches itself just right. The main players are grounded enough that you can get invested in what's happening to them, but the script is able to play with all the tropes and cliches of the genre so that you know you're never meant to take it too seriously. Like the ridiculously incompetent police detectives who fail to see the obvious link between a series of murders and disappearances, or the greedy executive willing to roll out a potentially murderous product rather than lose face with his superiors. Nice little reference to The Shining there, by the way. And it's all helped by the amazing production design on M3GAN herself. Everything about her, from the creepy smile to the too perfect movements and the flawless blonde wig, puts her right in the uncanny valley that people find so uncomfortable, taking something familiar and distorting it just a little so that it's no longer quite right. She's a brilliantly expressive mix of CGI and animatronics, designed to mimic human behaviour, but in that disturbing, artificial way, when you know that what you're seeing isn't a real person, and yet you feel like it almost could be. James Wan's obviously no stranger to the horror satire film, and I think the obvious movie to compare this to would be *Malignant*. But the thing is, I think overall *M3GAN's a stronger and more confident kind of movie that comes across as more polished, more subtle, and more intelligent than his previous effort. Because like any good satire, it actually manages to make some interesting points about bigger topics. I mean, the most obvious one
Malignant
about the
movie.
dangers of artificial intelligence evolving beyond its original function is probably the least interesting here, but it's also the one that gets mocked the most in the course of the story. A more serious movie would have portrayed M3GAN as a kind of tragic Frankenstein's monster of a character, genuinely believing that she was just doing what she was programmed to do. But in this case, they just said, fuck it, we'll make her straight up evil by the end because it's funny. That being said, there's also more subtle and interesting stuff woven into the story, like our increasing reliance on technology to keep our children amused and distracted, and how greedy companies are all too eager to play on the angst and
but you
guilt,
see the price
stress,
of what she
tired,
was in the movie.
overworked parents who don't have time to actually be with their kids. It's the capitalism paradox taken to its logical conclusion. People working themselves to death in jobs they hate, so they can buy massively expensive solutions to problems that only exist because they're working so much in the first place. Damn, this is like Inception levels of satirical observation now. And it's kind of interesting to watch the effect all of this has on Katie as the movie progresses. The way M3GAN seems at first to be a silver bullet solution to her grief and isolation, only to slowly evolve into a kind of drug that she grows increasingly dependent on.
Yeah.
Just like a kid forced off
That's
their
true.
Xbox after hours of staring at a screen will turn into a total asshole as they come down from that sweet dopamine hit. So Katie becomes more and more distracted, unpredictable, and even violent whenever she's separated from M3GAN. Because let's be honest, who would want to waste their time trying to form difficult and unpredictable relationships with other humans who all have their own unique wants and drives and interests that have to be taken into account, when you can just spend your days with literally the perfect companion who always says the right thing, always agrees and supports you, is infinitely patient.
That's the only
and happy
part
to do whatever
where you can see the
want.
CGI
The
on her
movie might
face,
present
or at
this
least that I
question in the form of a
noticed.
childhood friend, but really, you could probably apply the same question just as easily to lonely adults. Like I say, it's a surprisingly smart movie that makes its points effectively and often subtly, encouraging you to think more about something that you probably took for granted. And I guess that's my big takeaway from M3GAN. It's a film that does a surprising amount with its fairly simple premise, exploring ideas that are more relevant to modern culture than most people would care to admit, and doing it all with a wicked sense of tongue-in-cheek humour that never quite outstays its welcome. And as far as I'm concerned, that's a massive fucking win over most movies these days. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Yeah, that movie was better than a lot of things that I've seen from last year. A whole lot. This year. Yeah. Good job, Drinker. Couldn't have said it better myself. Matter of fact, I did say it. And I'll link my review also if you'd like to check that out if you haven't had a chance to see it yet. M3GAN is definitely worth going to see, and if you're a person that loves to own horror movies, buy it. It's definitely worth it as far as I'm concerned. So post comments down below, let me know what you all think. Make sure you go over to The Drinker and subscribe. Tell them Tyrone Magnus sent you, and I will see y'all in the next one. 10 million subscribers. Woo!